What's up, Gregory?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh man,
How you doing, man? It's great to see you. It's been a while.
it's been a while. I'm doing well. I'm doing real well. Actually, the last time I actually saw your brother and your dad at the hardware store. That's been like the last contact with
Ah,
your family there. But yeah, for you and I, it's been, I don't know, when's the last time you've been in the States?
uh, I mean, around Christmas, but the last time I was like in the States and kind of in the community and mingling around town, it's been a while, dude. When I make it back to Dayton recently in the past year or two, it's been short trips and just kind of checking in, spending time with family, or like using it as a time to hide and go inside a cave. And luckily, when I go back to Dayton, my big bro Alex, that you briefly mentioned there, he's got a house and has a spare room that he lets me crash in. So yeah,
Uh,
usually when I'm back in Dayton, I'm hiding out, man. It's
I get it.
it's yeah.
It's healthy to do that because you're so big. Well, first of all, it's just so that the audience, the podcast viewers know who you are a little bit more. I know who you are, but let
Hey,
them know who
friends,
you are.
all of
Huh?
you out there,
Oh
the
yeah?
millions of downloads that you're getting, man. I'm nervous.
Are you?
Yeah, man. I'm nervous. Got
Uh,
me. I'm actually freaking out right now.
no way, dude. I don't believe that for a second. Dude, from the guy
I
who
got I got anxiety.
no way. All right, I'll believe you. I was real quick before you get to that. I was doing my morning routine, and it just hit me in the side of the face. I was like, man, like there was the time we were I think it was at the house you were living at, and you had a few people over, and then the guitars came out, and then you're like passing around like either a book or something, and like everyone was singing, and then it was going around the circle, and it was coming to me, and I was like,
Oh
oh, I was freaking out. I'm like,
yeah.
no, I don't know what to do. I'm supposed to just say off the top of my head. But yeah, since then, obviously, we've done improv and done plenty of that stuff and feel a lot more confident. But at that time, man, that was high anxiety. So you're feeling
Yeah,
a little
that's
anxious.
awesome, man. Well, no, I mean, I'm cool. When I think of it as just me and you, it's all good. When I start to think about, the millions of people that might download this podcast when you blow up, dude, um, actually that makes me excited too. So, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it
I'm
is just you
good.
and I, though. It is just you and I, except for this
Totally.
brief moment where you got to tell everybody who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that now or?
Sure, man, go for it. Like, I mean, it's still a mystery whether or not you have pants on. So, um,
Yeah. Yeah, I figure we'll leave it at some things are better left unknown.
yeah, that's one.
Um, and maybe as I share more about myself through this podcast, you'll come to find I love the mystery. I love the great unknown. So, do I have pants on? Am I completely nude? Um, you don't know. Am I sitting on top of a compost box? Yes, I am. Oh,
I love it. Greg, tell me more about like where you're at, because like this background has just got me super excited. And when we started, like you're like you kind of showed off, and I'm happy that you did because you're like check out
yeah.
these mountains, check out this
Yeah, I was flexing a
hammock.
little bit. Yeah. Well, I am in Colombia in South America, and on the north coast. Um, the biggest city that I'm near is called Santa Marta. And so from the city on the coast, I'm up into the mountains. So this mountain range is called the Sierra Nevada Mountains of Santa Marta. And there's a small mountain village called Minca. And I'm a partner at a farm and retreat center here called Aloha. and I am just below that, kind of in between the village and our farm, which is higher up on the mountain. I'm staying with a friend right now. His name is Helmut. So in this quarantine situation that we're in, I've been taking any chance I can to sneak out of the farm and, hike through the coffee trails and visit my buddies. So that's where I'm at right now. And it's early, so I came down a little as far as away from the house as I could to try to let my friends sleep and not disturb them. So I'm actually down sitting on the compost area. I wish I could flex a little bit more and take you out on the deck and show you the view, but maybe by the end of the session I can do that.
Oh man, well, I'm happy as all get out to see that. Like I ended up staying at Nicole's last night and came over here because obviously she's still sleeping and do the podcast, and I was just so excited. I'm like, man, what's it like over there? Like, I'm like, he's waking up. I was just in my mind, I was just driving and I'm just like seeing all the trees and the mountains. I know all the pictures you've been posting, and even like just seeing a little bit more of the video is like my cheeks are hurting from smiling already. Like it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And
yeah, man, I feel incredibly blessed. I think this is, there's so many amazing and sacred places around the world and in nature. And for me, I've been fortunate to travel a lot and see a lot of awesome things, but this place has totally captured my heart and has, I've fallen in love with the nature and these mountains and the trees and the rivers and the waters. And, one of the other things is like, no matter where I'm at, and no matter how beautiful the land is, it's always comes back to the people. So there's just amazing people here, man. So I'm really lucky to consider this my home right now, and I really see myself investing more and more time here and and putting more and more roots in the ground here. And like I wanna grow old in these mountains, man. I wanna maybe have a family, maybe make some jungle babies one day. Maybe in like 10 years. In like 10 years or something. No rush on that. First I should probably get a girlfriend.
I mean, there's no right way to go about it, I guess. 10 years is funny because 10 years I'll be Finnegan if holding true to like high school standards, will be graduating in 10 years. So my oldest son, by the time you are ideally having yours.
That's crazy.
That is crazy, man. I think
that's amazing. See, I think I was gonna say, like, I think there's two ways to do it right. Like you can have them early to where, like, by the time they're getting older, they're 18, you're still pretty young and you have like this cool connection. And when you're kind of freed up from hosting your kids, from taking care of them, you're still young, you got so much life left. And or you wait like long until, probably in my case, like maybe I'll be 40 by the time I have kids, which is like a totally different dynamic. But I don't know, in my mind it could be cool. Right now I can't imagine.
Yeah, like I don't disagree with that. I was actually having a conversation with one of my buddies yesterday who's getting ready to, he's 30 and he's getting ready to have his first kid, a baby girl. And I was just kind of like, not that I want anything to change. I love my two boys, but I'm curious sometimes to think of like what life would be like if I was this age now, or at least at this frame of mind now, and then starting having kids, because it is completely different. Like who you will be at 40 versus who you were at what I was 21. Like who you were at 21 having a kid. Like, first of all, I would love it. Like, would you be in the jungle? Would you be out there like still doing all this stuff? Probably, maybe. I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible. You spoke to a couple things, like, because I have so many questions. I'm trying to even boil them down because it's been so long, and there's the podcast even gives a cool platform to like capture the stories and stuff. So even like how we met, I'm kind of going off a tangent here, but okay, I'll stop. I'll slow down. The spirit of the mountains and having a family there, like every video and picture you post like pulls to my heartstrings, because it's literally like it, like I don't know if you're just capturing it and like, or you've got like this photographer's eye, or it's just like coming through you, but like, man, like it really speaks to me. So I understand where the mountains, you might have some freaking jungle babies. So.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Well, you know, I am a iPhone photography major. I'm an artist, dude.
Yeah, you
You know,
are.
so I got that creative eye. But no, I'm just playing. It's the place. Like I'm in heaven. I'm in paradise. So I can point my camera anywhere. Even to me, even the little compost area that I'm at is beautiful.
Yeah. So you are an artist. Like, I know you kind of downplayed it after you said it confidently, but you are an artist. You're a musician, right? Like, tell me, like, catch me up to speed on the musician thing. Because if I remember correctly, tell me, you were playing with another artist, or you're traveling. Update me. I'm confused.
Yeah, let me guess share what's going on with that. Well, I'm a songwriter, and then I think I wrote my first song at 17 years old. You know, I it was the perfect storm for, you know, the birth of a young songwriter. Got my heart broken for the first time, totally crushed. Um, I was a sad, sad boy back in the emo days, and um, my my older brother went to college. He left his, you know, he went to Ohio State University, and he left his guitar at home. And so I picked it up, and before he left, he showed me a few chords, and I started writing songs. So I've been since then, you know, there's been a lot of times where I was playing often, playing shows. There's been some years of break, but I'd say in the past um, 3 to 5 years, I've been kind of stepping into that dream that I have of yeah, being an artist and sharing music with people, and playing shows and traveling with it, playing music all around the world. I've been kind of owning that dream. You know, it's been something I've had since I was a young kid. So just kind of taking ownership of that dream, and realizing that nobody's going to give me permission to live my dreams. You know, I got to just, if I want to play music around the world, then I got to travel around the world with a guitar. And so that's kind of how I've been doing it. So I, after writing songs for 12 years, last year, I finally recorded something for the first time. So I have a 5-song EP called The Darkest Night that's out on all streaming platforms, which is a collection of songs that came through, you know, my my darkest night, my lowest time, my kind of deepest depression, my lowest point that I had to crawl out of. So those songs kind of became my medicine to kind of help me through that time. And that's how I think about my music. It's medicine for me first. You know, these songs end up being my therapy, and help me heal, help me process, and then sharing those songs. You know, if anybody enjoys listening to them, or they're moved or inspired or feel related to through my music, you know, that's a bonus. But first and foremost, it's my medicine. And then, you know, over the years, I've been playing the music festival scene, and have been able to connect with a lot of amazing people. And so there's a band called Satsang out there who's totally blowing up, and I've been fortunate enough to open for them a few times, and have built a relationship with them over the years. And yeah, last year I started jumping in the van with them on their tour team and running their merchandise. So I'm their merch guy. I'm out there on the road with them, slinging t-shirts and stickers, and I love selling stuff, man. So that's been another dream come true of just kind of really being on the road and experiencing the tour life. So been doing that. Still on the team with them. This whole COVID situation put a wrench in a lot of people's plans in the music industry. Got hit majorly hard. So everything that we had scheduled for this year, I was meant to be in the States in a van with them right now, but everything got rescheduled for later in the fall. So that's where that's at right now. And then currently, since quarantine's been happening, I've been recording a new album that I'm going to be releasing quite soon. It's in the jungle. It's recorded on my phone in the voice memos app. So it's going to be super lo-fi and, you know, just little voice memos from GB, from on top of a mountain in the jungle. And so I'm excited to put that out there and share that. And yeah, I'll be on SoundCloud within the next month.
That's awesome. All of it. I have questions, and it's funny because this morning has just been magical already, and it's because it goes back to your Halloween costume a few years ago. We were at the restaurant here, and you had the glass ball that you were rolling around. You're the magician, right? And so it's already been magical. And I was getting in the shower, and I told you when we were messaging each other before I hopped on here that I was going to hit up my morning routine, and so I did some push-ups, and then did a little bit of journal, and then I hit a meditation. And then as I was going in the shower, I was like, maybe I'll play a little music. I didn't, but the music I was going to play was Welcome to the Jungle. Like that was in my head. Like that was the song I was gonna play. So it's just in my head. It's like, wow, that's awesome. I definitely got their name. I would always say Satsang. I'm sure a lot of people would say Satsang. But I have listened to them. And then when I found out that you and Adam's doing some stuff with them too, right?
Yeah. He's every time they've been through Ohio in the past few years, you know, Adam and I've been part of those shows. And back in the day, you know, we weren't a part of anything official with them. We just showed up, and we would host like a pre-show kind of event with just our friends and community, and then we'd all go to the show together. And then I don't know how it happened, but one show a couple years ago, we just ended up inside the venue with one of our acoustic guitars, and just kind of before the show started, took a bold move and started singing songs with all of the crowd before, you know, as people were just coming in and getting everybody singing. And you know, and then so we started kind of humbly and kind of trickstery of just kind of putting ourselves in there. And then eventually, you know, Drew and the guys from South Song, I think they tested us a little bit, and then we kind of passed the test. So like, all right, these guys are maybe just the right amount of weird. And
what was the test?
We'll throw them a bone here.
What was the test?
No, I mean the test, you know, I don't know if there was really a test, but I think when this is just me speaking for them, I don't know how they really feel, but you know, I can imagine being a touring band and having fans that love your music, and there's a lot of people that play acoustic guitar and have dreadlocks and write songs and want to play them for you and want to open for you. So I think it just took maybe a little bit of time for them to get a better sense of who we are, and yeah, just let the relationship organically build. And once that connection was kind of solidified and we were more friends, then I think it just felt good to, you know, share an evening of music with your friends. And that's the dream.
So there's something you said pretty much is like, hey, if I want to travel and play music around the world, the thing that I need to do is start traveling with my guitar and travel around the world. And like, you made it sound so simple, and in reality, it is pretty simple, right? It didn't come without like I mean, you have plenty of stories of, didn't you lose
Yeah.
your passport at some point in time?
Yeah, man. Yeah, lost. Here's the thing that you don't want to do is lose your passport in a foreign country. And South America is probably the one of the, least ideal places to do that. But I lost my passport in Colombia, and that's a whole nother podcast, man.
That could
That's
be, it's
for
a
whenever you
whole,
have me back, maybe we'll have you on. We'll get into that story.
yeah, absolutely. But and the thing about that really is hitting me hard right now is actually even something I said to you earlier. Like, I want to be able to do everything from my iPhone and my iPad and my morning routine wherever. I don't want to put these obstacles in my way and give myself reasons to cop out. And like, I think being that way, I think there's a lot of people who um, make it difficult. And really, it's as simple as, if you have a dream, to go do it. And for me, I've kind of attached having to make money with a lot of this stuff. Like, how am I going to take care of my kids, or how am I going to, make money in order to go do these things? And in reality, most of the time, if not all the time, we have everything we need to go do the thing that we so desire to do. It's more of just stepping into it. And it seems like I take notes during this, and that's one of the things I wrote down, was just keeping it simple. It seems like you've simplified. Maybe that's your wisdom. I'm not sure. Maybe because you're full of wisdom, that I mean, you don't have your dreadlocks anymore, by the way. I was thinking about that. You cut them all off.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, went through some shit, man. Had when you shave your head after 5 years of no scissors, some big shit's going on.
Yeah, I mean, funny enough is that I think you probably, well, you had longer hair when I met you, for sure. But I had dreadlocks when we met, and then
Yeah.
2 weeks after knowing you, I shaved my dreadlocks off. See ya, sayonara. And
Yeah, man.
you
Yeah, man.
I don't know if it's been so obvious to you. I wanted to talk to you about this. I didn't know if it's been so obvious to you, because I posted something the other day on Facebook, and then you had a comment, and it kind of stuck with me. And like, you had some playfulness to it. It was basically like, or go to a class and radically change your life and transform your life. And I'm like, has he known the whole time? Has he just been kind of like watching it unfold, that he just knows how big of an impact that was to my life? Because I feel like, as much as, like, consciously, and for the people who do listen to this podcast now or whenever, your course Purpose Spark, and taking Purpose Spark was, people hate this word right now, a pivotal moment in my life. It really was a movement, an experience that set me free. I mean, honestly. And so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I had a question in there other than, did you see it all along? Because that comment was kind of there.
Well, again, kind of, I love the mystery, so maybe I did, but maybe I didn't. No, man, I'm not gonna try to say that, I'm kind of this figure that sits back and watches all of the puzzle pieces come together, just as I anticipated. No, man, I sit back and I watch life as it happens, and acknowledge. And it was a cool post that you had made. I remember what you're talking about. It was just like a five year ago flashback, and you still had your dreadlocks, and I think you said caption this, and I think what I said was,
Yeah.
you know, feeling feeling cute, might shave my head and radically transform my
Yeah.
life over the next 5 years. And that's kind of what I've, when I look at you, man, and I think back to the experiences we've shared. You've been a seeker, ever since I've met you, and you've always been diving deep, within yourself. And life has been up and down, and there's been many storms, and you've been through many of your own dark nights. And so just as somebody who knows you and loves you, and has kind of been in and out throughout the years, that's just what I've seen from you. You've been on this path to radically transform your life. And that's just who Cale Marker is to me. Not Male Carker.
Male Carker. Maybe that's what I need to change my test. Maybe that's the 30s and I radically transformed.
Yeah, dude, that could be your fans only alias, man. I would subscribe to that.
Male Carter. I love you too, man, and it has changed my life, and a lot of it is. I mean, obviously, we're really not that far from each other when we grew up. Like, we're the same age. For not having to dive into it too deep, and we didn't grow up far from each other, literally in proximity, like 30 minutes from one another. Obviously, not meeting one another until way down the road, and it's growing up where I grew up, where we kind of grew up. Parents have kind of weighed on me. Like, the thing I'm trying to get to is, like, why do they ask me this all the time? Because you were kind of speaking to me, which I appreciate, kind of making more sense of that to me. Is you said I'm a seeker. My parents would say that I've been very analytical. Like, why do you got to analyze everything? And now I feel completely, I talk about it a lot in my podcast, I feel completely liberated from my parents as far as decision makings go. Like I have a wonderful relationship with them, but there for a long time, like, they had a really strong influence on any choice I would make well into my 20s, whether it was rebelling because of what they were saying or agreeing with what they were saying and taking action on that, and never really having my own opinion. So he would always talk about how it was very analytical and why do I need to analyze everything. And for me now, it's like, it's exactly what you said, and you summed it up beautifully for me. It's just seeking. Like, I savagely right now have been seeking to get to this point of simplifying my life. Like last night, I was thinking, it's like I was doing the dishes and I was at peace. Whereas before I would have felt guilty and anxious that I need to be building this dream of mine, this business of mine. I didn't have time to do the dishes. I felt guilty.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, to me, it's kind of, I laugh at it because I'm like, you did. It's like, it's kind of insane, right? Like, you have time to do the
it's insanity. Well, and I laugh, dude, because I relate to that so much, man. It's just, we convince ourselves of what we need to do to live our dreams, or like to achieve certain goals. We convince ourselves that we know exactly what it takes, and it takes hard work, and it takes a lot of sacrifice, and we have to do this, this, and this to get here. And when I sit back and just look at what I've experienced, is, man, every dream that I've had that has come to actualization, that is manifested in my life, it shows up differently than I anticipated that it would. What was required for it to show up was totally different. Like, the prerequisite that I had to get to, usually it was, things came easier than I anticipated them. And this image that I had in my mind of what it would look like, it always shows up differently. And when I let go of what my dream needs to look like, and when it needs to show up, and how it all needs to happen, when I let go of that and just have the dream and then kind of let it go and come back to the present moment, man, it does feel like magic. It shows up and often looks more amazing than I could have even come up with in my mind. So no, I relate to you, man. I think convince myself that I'm not doing enough all the time, and that's kind of been, over the years, something I've been wanting to overcome, and I've been aware of myself. It's like, I work my ass off, often to the point of exhaustion, and to the point where I really need to relax and chill out. And then when I finally take that time to relax and chill out, dude, I cannot enjoy it because I'm so anxious, because I'm telling myself that I need to be busy.
still, is this something that like you've learned through, or is this something that like you're still experiencing? Because I really relate to, and I've learned, so a couple things that you touch on that are exactly kind of where I'm at in my life is, and I've been listening to a ton of Gary Vee right now. I mean, just like people don't have patience. They don't have patience. They want to be somewhere. It's like to the same point as everything that even to the negative things that I didn't want to happen, right? Whenever I give that energy to them or I'm like processing them or putting some sort of, I guess for a lack of better words, energy into it, like at some point they happen. Like they always have happened. And they have always happened, like you said, a little differently, maybe a little more amplified. I use the word amplified because sometimes it's a little worse than I expected, and sometimes it's a little better than I expected. If I reflect. And that's why like self-awareness has been so key for me recently, is to really like get to a point where I am hyper aware of my thoughts, feelings, words, and then being able to, take the oxygen out of them if they're not in alignment with what I want with my life. And so you kind of spoke to like letting go and being patient. And there's quite a things that I've looked back in the last all my life that I wanted things so bad and I wanted them to happen right now, really soon, that I've almost suffocated it and put myself further back because of the resistance of trying to get it so fast. And to your point, it's everything that kind of we put out there, it shows up some way at some point, and it's just getting into it. And then working hard. Obviously, I think we both have a work ethic that has been at some point in our life unhealthy because one, our perspective of it, because it's supposed to look a certain way. So for me, like I'm okay with working really hard and then now crashing. Like at first I thought that was, I need to keep going. Like wake up. Like you can't rest right now. You can't sit down. Like you can't do that. And the reality is like, I'm okay working 5 days straight of 20-hour days or whatever it may be, and then crashing and doing nothing and recouping that. Just as easy as I am now working a 12-hour day and being okay, because I don't have a distinction between Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. They're just days. It's what I'm here.
What day is it anyway?
I was driving Uber yesterday.
I honestly don't know.
I had to thought I'd go pick up my kids. That's the only reason I have to remember what day it is, because I have my kids on certain days, and I'm like, I almost freaked out. I thought, oh my God, it's Tuesday. But I think the other thing to that is that something that you still do now, where you still feel that way when you relax? Do you still feel guilty? Or are you able to like acknowledge that and then move through?
Yeah, I think, it's definitely still something that I deal with, but my awareness of it is highly elevated. And so, I'm able to kind of, experience it or recognize that, when I'm trying to rest and recover right now, that's when I feel more anxious. That's when, sometimes I like really suffer when I'm taking a break. And so more now I'm like just really aware of that and trying to do what I can to just also let myself feel that and try to move that energy through. But it's funny because I'm just continually kind of forced it. Well, here's what I'm going through now. This quarantine has really been fucking with me. I feel like I spent the last 10 years of my life working towards creating a lifestyle and living my dreams, to the point where like 2020, this year, I had the entire year scheduled. I knew where I was going to be every week, every weekend. I knew what I was going to be doing, whether it was in South America or Europe or, touring with Satsang in the States and doing retreats and all of this stuff. Like this was my year, dude. And then it got canceled, this Corona thing happened and it all got canceled, man. So it was an opportunity for me to let go and again wonder what else is possible. And so that's been testing me a lot. And so as soon as I found out we were going to be quarantined and everybody was going to be stuck in their houses, you know, I decided to stay in Colombia. And then I also decided to start hosting online Purpose Spark retreats, which I think I might be the only person crazy enough to start hosting online retreats on top of a mountain in the middle of the jungle as rainy season is starting, dude. So this is why for the Zoom call, I came down to my friend's house, because up at our farm, almost daily right now, we're losing power. You know, the internet connection's sketchy as hell. And so throughout this experience, you know, I have all of these ideas still of what I want to be doing. I want to take advantage of this situation that everyone is in and really be able to serve people where they're at. I'm blessed to be where I am. I can only imagine what somebody has been feeling being isolated in an apartment, you know, by themselves, and they don't know many people. And it's been tough for me. I can't imagine what it's been like for other people. So I've been motivated to really, you know, offer this online community to people. And then I've had to deal with, well, as much as I want to work right now, the power has been off for 3 days. And so I've just been forced into letting go of control, you know, and I've that's the other thing I've recognized is that over the past couple of years, I've been becoming more and more aware of myself. Dude, I'm an absolute control freak. I didn't know that about myself for a long time, but I see it now clearly. I'm a control freak, dude. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it serves me in kind of, you know, creating my dreams into reality and as a host for events and just with the lifestyle and the line of work that I've chosen, it serves me. But when I can't control a situation and things are out of my control, which is often, dude, I suffer and it's really hard, you know. So this whole experience with the quarantine has just forced me to look at that and surrender and to want to work but not be able to, and just to find peace with that. And really, you know, what I've been worried and afraid of is that, you know, I'll be so focused on pushing for these online retreats, which we've done 3 so far. Over 100 people since quarantine started have been through our online retreats. It's been amazing, but I'm worried that if I'm so focused on doing the work online and I'm so anxious about whether the power's on or not, or how the Wi-Fi connection is, like, I don't want to miss the magic of being present here in this time in the world and being with the people, the community that I'm at physically, and being with the land and being with the nature, man. That's my biggest fear, is that we make it through the end of Corona, and in reflections, you know, at the end of this year, I just don't want to reflect on this time and see that I wasn't present and I didn't appreciate the magic of it because I was so focused on, you know, trying to get my work done and serve and you know, I don't know if that makes sense, but
I mean,
that's where I've been tested. So to answer your question, man, yeah, I still feel it when I'm not getting busy, when I'm not getting things done. I have a hard time, but I'm aware of it, and I think that's the first step. And as soon as I acknowledge it, it's easier to kind of move through those emotions and feelings. And I've got practices to help bring me back to the present moment. Yeah.
what are those practices?
Well, playing music, man. Like I said,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
grabbing my guitar and singing, really is my first. You know, it's medicine for me. So, you know, lighting a fire and sitting in nature and playing music from my heart, letting my heart songs come out, man. It's like therapy for me. Um, and then you mentioned, you've got a morning routine, and I think that's a really popular thing, in the self-awareness genre, and kind of the conscious movements, is like having a morning routine. But it makes sense why it's popular, because it's powerful.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of having a morning routine that sets me up to have a great day, which is, my natural alarm clock. I'm up around 5 a.m., waking up with the jungle. I get up, I go get my water. I try to drink a liter of water straight away. I know you know about Kangen water. I've got one of the first machine I ever bought from Enagic, the SD501. I've got my machine up at our farm. So I go fill up my water and put the tea kettle on, make some tea, go back to my cabana. And I've been in Colombia on this trip since January, and I've been experimenting and practicing daily breath work for the first time in my life. I've done breath work throughout the years and experienced that, but this year and the past few months has been the first time where I've really made it a part of like a daily routine. So, I'm experimenting. I'm not a pro. I think the gist of it is just try to get as much oxygen into your body as you can. So I have a little rice husk bag that I sit on, and I do what I kind of think is my Wim Hof method, 30 deep inhales, let it go, take it in, let it go. And then, I'm doing some push-ups and some pull-ups, just trying to get my body moving.
Yeah.
And that's it, dude. Then by the time I'm done with that, I go and make my coffee, or if we have power, I check the internet, check the messages, start making breakfast, and get going with the day. But that has certainly helped bring me more into the present moment. Is like, it's harder to be present when I'm not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And so I know that doing little things, even if it's just a 10-minute routine of sitting down, breathing, and sometimes I breathe extra fast because I'm impatient and I just want to get it done and I want to check it off. And sometimes that's okay, but and then I try to do as many push-ups as possible, and then I call that done. That's my workout. But anything that looks like self-care, it's harder to be present when you're not taking care of yourself. So just little things like staying hydrated, or just taking the time out. I live in a community, so right now we're 9 people on our farm. And dude, living in a community, I know everybody's got a dream about it, and it's this kind of, it's just nice idea. It's hard. It is amazing. It's super fulfilling, but it's freaking hard, man. It's like a spiritual boot camp, because you're constantly surrounded by people, whether you like it or not, and they're your reflection, man. And sometimes you get annoyed, and so when I deal with those kinds of different emotions or frustrations, not being alone, man, I just try to acknowledge it, just become aware of it, and then take time for myself. The most fun I've been having by myself is going on runs up and down the mountain through the coffee trails. Not allowed to be on the main roads here, but they can't find you if you're in the middle of the jungle in the coffee trail. So I've been hitting those and finding a lot of fulfillment and a lot of, experiencing presence while I'm in movement. My best meditations that I found are when my body is moving and in some kind of action, whether is from like, you know, my background of massage therapy when I used to be in a dark room and massaging naked strangers for money for a living all day long. You know, like doing a massage, closing my eyes, like that was an amazing meditation. In a lot of ways, I credit those years and the time spent in the dark room just thinking as I give massages. Like I think the life I'm living now, a lot of work was done back in those days, you know, in a dark room, you know, smelling the lavender and dreaming of the life I wanted to create.
Man, so many notes there for sure. I feel like um, I was taking a. You spoke about being present, and hydrating on some common water right there.
Okay.
You spoke about being present, and actually, the last 2 nights, I'm really blessed, and I was able to have a bath and take a bath. And at first, I wanted to take my phone in with me, and, you know, handle some stuff or listen to an audiobook, like work, right? Working out is work to me. Reading is work to me. Like learning is work to me. And so, really, just taking in the environment, literally like looking at the bathroom, studying the bathroom, actually being fully present and taking it in. Because you kind of spoke to, hey, I when I get to the end of the year, and I know you do a lot of reflecting year on and year in, you're most likely reflecting day in and day out. But yeah, when you look back on the year, you're like, hey, I really don't want to miss being present in this time, right? Like I don't want to not get the work in because it's a good time to work, but it's also a good time to be super present and stuff like that. So it really reminded me of being back in the bath last night and doing that. And so I kind of, I think for me, I've learned that, okay, I'm motivated by things that are what I would say progress or work driven. Like, so for me, I've just changed what work is. So for me, and this is recent for me, but when I owned the gym, a lot of emphasis that I had personally was all on working out. Well, you know as well as I know that you have to recover your muscles, you have to stretch your muscles, you have to be limber, you have to do recovery. And so for me, I've changed my perspective on taking time away from quote unquote work, right? Whether that's you know, emails or creating, you know, doing things for my business, doing things for the podcast. I've taken that and I've labeled other things as work as well, and it's been helpful for me to make those a time priority, i.e., meditating a time priority, i.e., journaling a time priority, i.e., scheduling nothing is a time priority, like taking a bath, relaxing, doing nothing before bed, getting sleep, right? Like all things that I would have not considered as a priority, right? Because they're not work. I've changed my perspective for me and turned them into work. It's kind of funny too because I'm also a moving meditation type of person, and I want to kind of circle back to you saying, Greg, that like all I need is a guitar and just start traveling. Like even if I'm going to, you know, the city next door, like right, like it doesn't matter as long as I have my guitar and away. Even if I don't have a guitar, like how can I make music? Can I bang my fingers on something? And for me, for anybody who's thinking about maybe doing meditation, it's like you don't need a fancy app, you don't need a fancy pillow, you don't need any of these things. Like you literally can meditate anywhere at any point in time by accessing your breath. And so for me, in your massage story, it really reminded me of mowing. So I started mowing with my older brother, neighbor yards around my neighborhood when I was 11 years old. And I didn't realize when I stopped doing that, how big of an impact. And at the time it was annoying. Like, oh my God, I got to mow. But once I kind of got into the rhythm of it, it was like really meditative for me. I would play music, but that was just sounds. And I would think of exactly the types of things that you're thinking of. Like, what do I want for my life? What are the dreams that I have? And then when I stopped mowing, I stopped thinking of those things. I stopped driving. That was another way for me to kind of meditate in a way. So I've really tried to incorporate, like my shower is a moving meditation. You know, my morning routine of movement is a moving meditation. and then I do a seated meditation. But it really is just accessing that at any point in time and not being attached to like, I have to have 30 minutes on the clock or 20 minutes and it's complete silence and no thoughts. So you really kind of spoke to me on a lot of those. I did want to skip over, I got to ask, are you still practicing the 3-minute handstand?
You know, recently I've gotten back into it. Like I'm far off. So yeah, I had a season of life where I was obsessed with inverse goal to do a 3-minute stagnant handstand. And yeah, I've had that goal for years, man, and I have not gotten there. The funny thing is, like, you know, there's different times where I come back to it and I just kind of, you know, for a week I'll see where I'm at and how long I can do it. I still got it, bro. I'm surprised. I still can hold it for a solid minute, which is tough, but far off from 3 minutes, man. That's a B.
It is beefy. Um,
Get there. So
to the point there though, it's like being able to do a solid minute is crazy. It's kind of like when you do something, it's kind of like the 4-minute mile, right? It's like it's not even humanly possible to do a 4-minute mile, and now people do it left and right every day, just miles. And it's kind of like, to your point, it's like once you know that you can get to a certain point, like for me, I love kicking up doing handstands now, right? I don't hold it for a minute, especially stagnant, but being able to just kick up and hold it or walk on my hands after not doing it, it's really kind of a belief thing. The thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of purpose spark. I don't know that we've ever really talked about how I don't know that I've really identified it enough to know how much it's changed my life. And I'm not the biggest fan right now of the word change of my life, but it has opened me. And I think for you being able to adapt and even doing it from a jungle and being able to do it online is like, I'm curious to know what the vision is for that, like how you plan to do it, and also like how people can get involved now that you are taking that stuff online, which for me is wanting to come down to a Purpose Spark retreat now in Colombia has been a little more logistically challenging for me, but being a part of the movement online seems like obviously a lot more obstacles are out of the way. So, and I mean, just from my experience in going through it and the process, and I can only imagine how much it's evolved since I went through it 3 years ago. I mean, I can't endorse it enough for other people to go and do it. So how do people, maybe what is it from your perspective for the people who, obviously it's just you and me here, but for the people, millions of downloads later, what is Purpose Spark and how do they get involved?
Yeah, so let's start with what is it? Purpose Spark is, maybe it's a curriculum, maybe it's a self-awareness methodology. So essentially, I gather people into small groups and create a space for people to reclaim their identity and occupy their heart and their mind and their body through a series of questions. So I kind of just open a space, create a container, and ask questions. So that's my favorite thing about it. Is like I'm no guru, I'm no teacher. I'm not giving anybody advice. I'm certainly not a life coach, and I'm just a dude that loves life and loves people, and I want other people to love life and love who they are. So I create opportunities for people to connect in community and do what I call soul work by answering these these big questions and reflecting, doing some journaling, and then breaking out into small groups and doing some sharing and listening. And so it's been almost 5 years since I started, and it's been the most fulfilling work of my life. It's evolved a lot, and the biggest evolution is it becomes more and more simple, and really just seeing how it's the questions, man. Who are you? And when somebody answers that question, who are you? They've just created who they are. It's like magic, so just letting it be a simple process, identifying that, the magic in it is doing it in a group experience. And up to this point, it's been all physical retreats and classroom style sessions or workshops at music festivals or living room sessions. And now for the first time since, really being prompted by the COVID situation, felt like it was the time I was really being called to offer it online. So how we've been operating it is we keep it really simple, man. Part of the reason why I waited until 2015 to start hosting these classes was because I thought it needed to be perfect, and I needed to have everything. Yeah, I needed to have everything perfect. I needed to be fully ready. And the truth is, like, I would never be as ready as I felt like I needed to be. And so there came a time where it was just like I had to take a leap and just do it. And when I invited people to take the first class, that's when it made it real. And I was like, oh shit, now I gotta actually come up with something, and I gotta fail and try it. So it was a similar process of taking it online. We'd never done it before. We're me and my team, we've become really good at creating these experiences in person and guiding people through this work, but doing it online is a totally different experience. So we use a private Facebook group. We keep it super simple. We start every group with a Zoom call, so we get everybody in there, get everyone introduced. We do like an introduction to the work, and then we move everything into the group. And every morning I do a live session guiding people through the Purpose Spark workbook, which we now have like a PDF download for people that do the work or that are in the retreat with us. And so I do live streams and we do Zoom calls, and we have a PDF file workbook, and that's it. So how people can get involved with that is probably the best way, since who knows when somebody's going to listen to this. If they're listening to it in May of 2020, we've got a special event that we're about to announce, special online collaboration with a certain musician that may or may not have been mentioned so far in the beginning of this podcast. So we're doing like an online collaboration that's going to be sweet. At the end of May, beginning of June. And the idea is that we're going to keep doing these once a month for the foreseeable future. And so maybe if somebody's not listening in May of 2020, give me a follow on Instagram or follow Purpose Spark on Facebook. And we're always up to some shit, man. We're always trying something new, and there's always something going on. So, that's the best way to get plugged in. We do have this new email list that we started, but my buddy Adam is kind of leading that. So unfortunately, I don't know how to tell people to sign up for our email list.
Well, I think you definitely touched on some stuff that I in respect of, like, I feel like we probably could do this in another episode. We're coming up on an hour after some technical difficulties, but I mean, I keep seeing your shoulder with the tattoo with a question mark. I've got 15 of them on my page, and questions have been, like, I'm still learning more about questions, but I want to know, like, from your perspective, like, have you researched scientifically questions, or have it's all been energetically? Like, what are questions? What are questions to you? Like, what have you learned about questions as we kind of wrap this up? And also for that, what is your Instagram handle?
At Gregory Bogard.
With the D?
That's me. With a D, man. Yep. Gregory Bogard.
Okay.
Bogard. Yeah.
But tell me about the questions.
Yeah, dude, questions are absolute magic. And that's something about me is I'm a total fantasy nerd. That's one of the things that I do in my free time when I can is I spent my early 20s reading every kind of self-awareness spiritual book on spirituality and self-development for 5 years, and then got to a point where I missed my first love in reading, which is fantasy. So to me, questions are like magic. Questions open doors, and the answers and the judgments and the conclusions close the doors. So for me, I'm more interested often in the questions themselves, because they create space and they to me expand the realm of possibilities when we ask the question. So as far as research or science, no, man, it's been real life experience. I'll share a story with you. Try to do it quickly. In 2014, I was in Okinawa, Japan, and I was at a conference for this water ionizer company that I'd been working for, and I was representing one of 30 Americans at this conference, and I think there was 800 people from like 56 different countries. 40-year anniversary of this company. It was cool, man. It's super cool. And I was on a break during the conference and standing outside by a fountain and just like reveling in the moment and I kind of pinching myself, like, is this real life? Like, am I really living my dream to this extent? Am I on the other side of the world right now? I'm just a boy from Dayton, Ohio. And as I was standing by the fountain, this short, round Irishman out of the corner of my eye comes bouncing up to me. Big energy, big smile on his face. And he looks me in the eye as he gets closer and he says, how does it get any better than this? And I think that's a question probably most people have heard. How does it get any better than this? And I think it's often thought about as maybe a rhetorical question. So I kind of had this automatic response to the question. He asked me, how does it get any better than this? And I'm like, oh man, it doesn't get any better than this. Just kind of this cute answer that people maybe, you feel like people expect you to say. It's like kind of acknowledging the moment as being good. But when I answered his question with, it doesn't get any better than this short round Irishman looked at me like he held his chest, like I just punched him or like kicked him straight in the chest. Like I really hurt his feelings by answering the question. And I was like, at that point became aware of like, oh my God, did I do something bad? And he looked at me, he's like, why would you answer this question and destroy the magic, of this moment? And I spent more time with him. I actually ended up in Dublin later that year, like early 2015, and was able to connect with this guy again. So got to learn from him more. But he introduced me to this idea of living in the question. And for example, when I answered, how does it get any better than this? With it doesn't, then the question itself, how does it get any better than this? It's a key. It opens the door. And as you ask that question, it's about, to me, the first thing it does is like ground you in gratitude for everything that is and has been. But then the second thing it does is it fills you with wonder. And to me, wonder is like the most expansive energy on the planet, the most expansive energy in the universe, maybe, that we can embody. So when you're in wonder, the realm of possibilities is expanding. And, you know, you're just kind of inviting in, you're opening yourself up to witnessing things getting better. But when you answer that question, it doesn't get any better than this. So first, the question opened the door. Now you just answered it and closed the door. You just put the lid on the box by saying it doesn't get any better than this. And you're kind of self manifesting that idea. So now you've stopped the possibility of it getting better. It doesn't get any better than this. You stop the possibility of it getting better, and now actually it can only get worse. So this whole idea of living in the question has become a mantra for my life since 2014. And the idea of falling in love with the mystery has just been a part of my path, because the truth is, man, we don't know what we don't know. We are totally unaware of the things we are unaware of. And it's not our fault, you know, and it's okay for us to not know. It's okay to not have all of the answers. And when I embrace that, you know, the reality that I just don't know everything, man. You know, there's all of these things that I'm not aware of, that I'm unaware of my unawareness to them. So the only way I can open myself up to that mystery is to ask these questions. So these questions kind of prime me to be in an energetic state to open myself to receive something new. So that's an example of one of these kind of magical keys and questions that I'm always asking. Another one is, what else is possible? How did I get so lucky? You know, who am I supposed to meet? And yeah, this whole idea that the Irishman shared with me, it comes from the idea of living in the question and asking what else is possible. It comes from this this kind of methodology, or this philosophy called access consciousness. If anybody's interested in exploring that, it's pretty far out there, wild stuff, but there are aspects of it that have dramatically transformed my life and invited so much magic and so much possibility and enjoyment into my life. So if anybody is curious about where these questions come from, and learning more about the idea of living in the question or changing your life through questions, go check out Access Consciousness.
I gotta take all that in. There's a question that came on to me a little while ago. I was learning from Jim Quick. We'll wrap up here and let you get back to the jungle. Dude, I appreciate you so much. And but Jim Quick, I don't know if you know Jim Quick. Have you heard of Jim Quick?
No.
Okay.
No.
He's like he's a teacher on learning how to learn. So just how do you learn? How does the brain work? And he just released a book, and Will Smith endorsed it. He said that Will Smith has the question is, what will make this even more magical? And that's kind of like his primary question that he kind of goes to all day long, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. So it's kind of like and I do want to kind of acknowledge that there is an audience out there that could be listening to this, is that a lot of times we ask questions that I asked the question, do I really want the answer to the question I just asked? Like a lot of things that growing up in Ohio was like, well, what's wrong with me? Or why is this way? And a lot of times it's the answer you're going to find is within the question that you're asking. So if you're looking for different results, audience members, myself, Greg, is like ask a different question. So it's, for me, it's sometimes to keep myself.
Yeah, man. I think. That's the danger. Is like these questions really have the power to change, to open up a lot of possibilities. So we don't want to ask the wrong questions, you know, and not to make anything right or wrong, but just that idea of like, what's wrong with me? Powerful, powerful question, you know. And so when you ask what's wrong with me energetically, you're bringing up all of these kind of old programs of, you know, everything that you think is wrong about you. So maybe a better question to ask is like, what's right about me? What is right about me? You know, so energetically now you're kind of bringing up and attracting all of these, the goodness in you, like the beautiful aspects of who you are and what's right about me. So sometimes we got to catch ourselves, and maybe it's as simple as just reframing a question or a thought.
Yeah, and I think that those are, as you're kind of speaking to Purpose Spark, I haven't officially launched out my course. I don't necessarily, I like the word coach just because of my background, but is I'm getting ready to basically self-awareness, taking action, and then using questions and then habits. I'm not doing a very good job of promoting that. You said you really like selling, so maybe I'll take some tips from you. But
no, dude, I'm with it, man. Sign me up.
I love it. I love it. I will sign you up. And so, but to that point is like being hyper aware of what you're saying, right? Like it's one thing to know the power of question, but if you're not aware of what's coming out of your mouth, what you're asking, and certainly having some sort of vision, like what do I want? Like it's okay to explore that. It's okay for it to change. It's okay for it to not be exactly how you want it. And I think for me, a lot of times it was a lack of awareness of one, what I wanted from an outcome standpoint. Didn't feel like I deserved it. And then two, just asking, like having that awareness of saying, hey, like, am I paying attention to what I'm saying? Because sarcasm used to be a big thing for me. And it still is. I'm still playful. But I don't believe it anymore. Like I really attempt to use it and then kind of like reframe in my mind, like, hey, this is what I'm actually putting out there. But anyways,
yeah.
I'm super happy that we did this. You kind of you alluded to it a little earlier that maybe we'll have another podcast. I see that in the future, especially when all the millions of people, since you were on the show, now millions of people are going to be showing up.
No, it's you, man. It's you.
You and you and you. So I was trying to think.
But here's the thing, man. I guess if it's you, then it is also me, because we're all reflections out here. And I just kind of say this because I have to, man. If we're all reflections, you make me look really good, bro. You're a handsome fella. I gotta say that. And of course, man, I would love to do this again. It's been great. We're podcasting this whole thing. Like I've been diving into podcasts for years, but it just keeps getting better and better. And the more people that are doing it, and kind of the more grassroots style they are, and like just having these Zoom calls, man, it's quite an era to be in. So big respect to you starting this thing and just doing it. I think that's a great example of, this can be simple. It can be, I'm in the jungle on my phone, in Colombia, and we can record a podcast. So I hope maybe that in itself maybe inspires someone to have a conversation and record it and put it out there.
Yeah, no excuses for really doing the thing, right? Like you talked about control and having it be control freak, and I don't think anything's wrong with excellence at all or striving for it. But at some point in time, it was all okay, right? It didn't exist before that. So if it didn't exist before this, it wasn't that big of a deal. So that is one of my strong suits, is just being a little more risk adverse and just saying, let's go. I'll be the pioneer that will take the charge into the unknown, and I'll do it. You're that way too. But what would be one piece of advice that, and I'm not sure you like that word as advice because you're not a guru, but just something that you feel like comes from your heart that you want people to hear, or that you can leave behind for other people?
Yeah, I think maybe it would make sense if it's a question. It's like, what if being you is all that's required to change the world? I really believe that when I look into the world, and it can be a crazy place sometimes, you know, I wonder how we got to this point. What I feel is that, you know, sometimes as humans, we can move through life kind of operating with a vacancy within ourselves, like a vacancy within our consciousness. Like we're not fully bringing our awareness to our thoughts and our minds and our bodies. Like we're not owning that we exist and that we're a unique soul that has this bag of bones that's able to move through life. And when we're not fully occupying our own consciousness, when we're not occupying our mind and our heart and our body, then we create a space, we leave a space to become occupied by something else, some other idea, some other entity. So whether it is an ideology like religion or government or politics or education or even family values, if it is an ideology that we are unconsciously just kind of buying into and accepting and moving through the motions of life, we're missing out on the magic and the fulfillment of being a unique and sovereign soul and having a unique truth. And I believe every person is carrying a unique piece that fits into the puzzle of humanity, you know, and in order for us to put all of our pieces together and really see the full picture of what humanity is and what it could be, it requires everyone to know the piece that they carry. So in that way, it's to know who they are and to consciously just be themselves. Like, you know, I'm all about being better and growing and achieving and all of these things. But even more than that, like what I value the most is being present and being myself. Like, what if, you know, all it takes for you to love who you are and love your life is just to allow yourself to be you, to be unique. So I'll finish with in Purpose Spark, we kind of have 5 principles that represent our beliefs. And so number 1 is everyone is unique. You know, everyone is unique. There's no one like you. Number 2 is everyone has a purpose, and your purpose is the one that you choose. So right now in the present moment, whatever you are choosing, you know, from your thoughts, your intention, your direction, and your choices, that's what you're choosing as your purpose. And if you don't like it, then you can change it. You know, so everyone has a purpose, and it's what they're choosing in the present moment. Number 3 is everyone is the author of their own story. So everyone's the author of their own story, their own life. So what are you writing? You know, asking the question, what am I writing? If I'm the author here, what do I want to write? Number 4 is we don't know how this story is going to end, right? So there's acknowledgement of this great mystery of it all. So let's ask the question, what else is possible? And let's wonder together. And then the 5th and final principle is life is a great adventure. So let's do it together. You know, we believe that life is more fulfilling when we do it together, you know, when we all can be ourselves together. You know, and that's when I experience the most magic in life is through community and through relating to others and reflecting and just like enjoying life with others. And one more thing I'm going to say, because my mind's just kind of on a tangent here, is community, man. I think community is something that the world, like humans, need to be fulfilled in life. We need community, and the benefits of community are endless and many things. You know, it's for to feel love, to feel fulfillment, to be supported, to support others, to be challenged by others, you know, to be triggered sometimes, to grow, to yeah, and just to enjoy life. Many different benefits to community that we can acknowledge. To receive those benefits of community, we have to actively and dynamically engage and participate in community. Like, you can't just passively receive the benefits of community. If you want the benefits of community, you have to engage, you have to participate dynamically. And that's kind of the energy that we're really focusing on right now in Purpose Spark, is like, yeah, we talk about community and having a tribe and everything like this all the time in life. But if we really want it, we got to go out and get it. You know, we got to put ourselves out there. We have to make ourselves vulnerable. We have to allow ourselves to be supported, and that can be really difficult. So just want to share that as kind of my final piece, is that, you know, if you are looking for a community out there, if you are looking for people to connect with, and you want to feel like you're a part of a community, you want to feel like you've got, you know, a group of people in your life that support you and that you can support as well, and that you can receive these beautiful benefits with, you're not going to get it until you make yourself vulnerable, you put yourself out there, and you actively engage and you choose to be part of it. You got to participate dynamically. So that's it. That's what I got, man. Thank you so much for having me on, buddy.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot to chew on right there for people. And I encourage everyone who does go back and listen. Like, I'm going to have to go back and listen to that. I couldn't keep my pen writing fast enough. I'm like, well, I'll just keep listening and I have this on recording so I can go back. And I think following your heart and being vulnerable is the whole reason why this podcast even exists. I mean, if I didn't do that, we wouldn't even know each other. And so just for the listeners, because that was a little bit of piece of advice for all of us here, is that, like, go back and listen to that and see what resonates with you and what you can go take action on right now. Man, I'm just so incredibly grateful to have you here. And everyone should, in my opinion, they should go do it 100%. Go follow Gregory, Bogard with a D, on Instagram and connect with this man. Very wise man, very loving man. I love him. I'm appreciative of him. And yeah, man. Well, this is the first of many to come. I'm going to stop the recording right here.